The name of this video is called The Power of Effective Communication. As I start all our videos, I like to say, first of all, let's thank God for the blessing of a brand new day and the opportunity to once again enhance self. God could have made your whole life one sunrise or one sunset, but he chose to break it down. So no matter how dark it's been, today you have been blessed with the light of another day. The power of effective communication is actually the bloodline of sales and marketing. It does not matter if you're someone that's not into sales and marketing. Do not mistake the fact that you're not to believe you that you don't need this particular video. You absolutely do, because at the end of the day, if you deal and communicate with people, then you need to learn how to do it effectively. It doesn't matter if you're a dentist or you're in the NFL or you own a tanning salon. At the end of the day, if you're in the NFL, you want to win. If you're a dentist, you want your customers to feel comfortable and your employees to feel comfortable with you. If you own a tanning salon, you want people to come back every single day. And if you deal with them and communicate with them in an effective manner, you will grow your business and your life. At the end of the day, in order to be good at communication, I learned this in a book written by Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People. There are 3 basic rules to communicating effectively. Once you learn these rules and you implement them into your everyday life, you will gain the ability to have a superpower by tapping into other people's superpower. And I'll cover that in the end. The first thing I want to talk about is, what is the most powerful word in the world? This word is the most powerful word. It does not matter who you talk to. It could be somebody that lives in Africa where they don't even, some part of Africa where they're not even dealing with main civilization. They're still wearing loincloths and being in the woods. Or it can apply in Tokyo with a businessman that's a billionaire. Or it can apply at a factory in Detroit. At the end of this day, this word applies to every single human being in the world. In order to communicate effectively with anyone, you have to master this word. And the word that I'm talking about is their name. My name is Saeed, right? If someone knows my name and they say it over and over again, something begins to come over me. If you say, hey, Saeed, what's up, Saeed? How you doing, Saeed? The first thing goes through my mind is, okay, this guy knows me, but I don't know this guy. What's your name again? And I'm going to make a conscious effort to remember the name of the person saying my name. So if you remember someone's name, you're automatically started the path of communicating with them in a manner to make them cooperate with you. Do you understand? When someone gives you their name, they've given you the ability to perform a magic trick, because you know now exactly how to deal with that person. I'll give an example. You meet a lady and she says, my name is Mrs. Robert Taylor. That's my name. And you might say, Mrs. Robert Taylor, because you're like, that's a guy's name. Well, back in the day, a lot of women used to call themselves by their husband's first and last name. So she's letting you know she's ready for a very formal conversation where the level of respect is maintained throughout the conversation. She told you what to do. If she says her name is Mrs. Mayfield, then it's, okay, hi, Mrs. Mayfield, or Miss Mayfield. I'm not married, but still call me Miss Mayfield. Or Mr. Saeed, meaning he's giving you his first name, but he says he's still putting Mr. in front of his first name because he wants to establish a certain level of respect. And he says, hey, don't call me Mr. Saeed. Everyone calls me Sai. He's more interested in a casual conversation. See, you're able to perform the magic trick because you know what to call that particular person. That's why when someone gives you their name, you never call them ma'am or sir or bro or my man or dog. You call them by the name that they gave you. See? So if someone gives you a nickname and they say, hey, you can call me Cotton Candy, okay? Probably not a popular nickname, but if she told you that her name was Cotton Candy, she's ready for a very relaxed conversation. And how do you know how to be relaxed with her? It's because she's the one that told you to call her Cotton Candy in the first place. Does that make sense, guys? So when you guys are communicating with people, always remember their name and call them by their name over and over again. Hey, John. Hey, welcome to the office. Hey, great job yesterday, John. How's everything going at home, John? Everything good? Great, John. I look forward to talking to you a little bit later, John. That's right on one. That's right what you need, because you're talking to the gentleman and you're letting him know this is about him and him only. The second form of communication that's very important is to remember the most important subject to every human being in the world. And again, this applies no matter who it is. They can be in Tokyo and be a businessman, or they can be in Detroit and work at a factory, or they can be in Philadelphia and be somebody on the street that sells halal food. It doesn't matter. This subject is intriguing to every single person in the world. And this subject is called themselves. When you guys approach somebody and you're trying to become an effective communicator, you should be looking at the person from head to toe. If you notice that they have an Eagles ring on or Eagles chain on or something that represents the NFL or that team, then it's up to you to take your phone out and Google a little bit about the team. So you can say, hey, John, how's it going? Man, did you hear they traded the player and the Eagles yesterday? That's just terrible, isn't it? You're darn right it's terrible. I can't believe they got rid of that guy. He's going to be passionate because that's something he wants to talk about. If you go into someone's house and they have a lot of pictures on the wall and you see all these old pictures and you notice that one of them looks like the person, she's now 70, but that's a picture of her when she was 20, then you should mention the pictures on the wall because that's something that interests them. When you master the art of speaking in terms of what interests the person you're communicating with, you build a very, very positive bond. So when you guys are at the office, how many of your teammates, how many of your employees have you actually taken the time to figure out what they're interested in? If every time the guy goes on break, he pulls out a PlayStation, look at what game he's playing and ask him a question about the game. Google the game, learn something about the game, and you'll find that when you communicate with him, you'll be able to get the best out of him because you took the time to learn something about that particular individual. Learning about what other people are interested in gives you a magic power once again, because you know how to hold a conversation that they like. Does that make sense? Even with your own wife, take the time to learn what she likes. And so you can talk about it. Say, hey, honey, how was your day? Did John take up all the electricity again? Did he hog your computer? Is he always the first one at the water fountain? He sure is. And I'm just tired of it, because you remember what her days are like and what she goes through. So you mention it. This is going to be very, very effective for you guys and business guys, because people will like talking to you. And if you know people's name and they like talking to you, you can pretty much get anything out of them if you ask in the right manner. The third thing you want to learn about communication is understanding the most important way to say something serious is with your blank. And the most important way to say something friendly is with your blank. There's an answer to the blanks. The most serious thing you can say to someone is with your eyes. And the friendliest thing you can say to someone is with your teeth. I'll give you an example. Whenever you look at eyes, there's 3 circles to an eye. There's the big circle, and then there's the little circle, and then there's a real tiny circle inside of there. If you look a person directly in the eye, that means that you're serious. And that, again, creates a magic power. Because when you want to effectively communicate and let them know what you're saying is serious, you can make that extreme eye contact, and they'll believe you. I'll give you an example. Guy owes you $50. You're not really worried about the $50. You don't look him in his eye. You say to him, hey, John, what's up? When you plan on getting my $50, man? It's like, oh, I'll give it to you. You create an environment that it's not that serious. But if you were to walk up to John and you were to look John directly in his eye and say, hey, John, when do you get me my $50, man? John is going to know at that particular moment you're serious about your $50. So if you're effectively communicating with somebody and you're giving them a compliment and say, hey, John, you've been doing great yesterday. I love the way you held that meeting, but I need to tell you something, man. Even only being 2 minutes late to the meeting can throw everything off, and people cannot hear what you're saying effectively. So it's important, John, to remember that you're the one with the most experience around here anyway. We need you on time, buddy. See how I communicate with John? I let him know that being late is unacceptable, but I also compliment him. And the way I let him know that being late was unacceptable is because when I discussed him being late, I looked him directly in his eye. There's nothing you can say also, guys, more friendlier than your teeth. You can compliment somebody, but you'd be surprised just saying, John, the way you handled that meeting yesterday, man, you killed it, man. You killed it. You did a great job. I'm speaking with my teeth. I'm being friendly. Whenever you smile at people and you give them your teeth, you have learned a new magic trick. And the magic trick that you've learned is that they want to smile as well. So I am actually making you smile by smiling at you. See how these three things in forms of communication are so important? One, knowing someone's name teaches you how to communicate with them and also gives them the desire to know yours. Two, speaking in subjects that's important to them makes them be interested in the conversation and allows you to learn a lot about that person. And three, communicating with your eyes gives you the effective seriousness when needed in the communications, and communicating with your teeth and smiling gives you the effective friendliness in the conversation, and it makes them smile as well. Utilizing these things, guys, in communication will help you grow your business and grow your brand. Here's the thing I want to explain to you. Now, we've discussed how having the power of effective communication gives you magic tricks, but let me explain how it makes you a superhero. When you can communicate with people effectively, what you're able to do is tap into their superpower. I'll give you an example. Every person has a superpower. Now, if you want to start a home healthcare agency, chances are, if you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's, that guy can't tell you how to turn a home care agency from worth nothing into $10 million. Probably not, right? But there is something that he can do. If he likes you and you communicate effectively, he can make sure that you get the good new fries fresh out the oven or fresh out the steamer. Then you get the old fries that are cold that's been sitting on there for about 10 or 15 minutes. Am I right or wrong? He can make sure he uses a good clean cup instead of watching it fall on the floor and picking it up and giving your drink in that cup as well. It doesn't matter who it is. They have power. If you're trying to get into a venue and there's a security guard and he has a list, no, he can't probably get you on the list, but he can decide to let you in or not if you are on the list or not. Once you decide to learn and master communicating with people effectively, what you have done now is giving yourself the ability to tap into each individual you come across, their own superpower, which in turn makes you a superhero. The power of effective communication. Use it, guys, and you will grow.